Hey, Ryan back with you here again, out here in Snyder, Texas, on the east side of town at the Allsups. Was actually heading down right off of US 180 here. Was actually headed over to the Pilot on the east side of town, and I seen this place here, and I seen one truck in here, so I figured, you know what, I'll just, it's only 4 miles difference, so I'll just whip it in here, and it's been nice ever since. So I've been here a couple hours. But I wanted to give you all an update on this trip, and also want to talk a little bit about Mercer Transportation. That's one of our more viewed videos out there. And I had a 1098 here from last year. I wasn't there too long. I think I made halfway decent money, and I kind of want to go over some of the reasons that I left, and it may surprise you as far as that goes. But as far as this trip, I'll get into that and spend a couple minutes on that. Then we'll get into the Mercer Transportation stuff. So I left Cleveland, again, it's June 18th here, left Cleveland June 12th, last Friday, left in the evening, picked up a load up on the east side of Cleveland, delivered that over in Salt Lake City on Monday morning, picked up a load the same day, fireworks, going down to New Mexico at one stop in Espanola, which is up by Santa Fe. And I had another stop down in Los Lunas, which is north Albuquerque, and for some reason went back up to Las Vegas, New Mexico, which is actually up by where the first stop was at. So, but they paid me the miles, so if they want to pay, then whatever, I guess. But I ended up finding another load that was I talked about in my last video on the Landstar 120-day inspection. Excuse me. And so originally the load was paying like $1.98. It was paying like $3,700 out of Loving, New Mexico, going over to Towanda, PA, which is not too far from Sayre, Pennsylvania. So if you're a Landstar guy, there's some cabinet stuff that comes out of Sayre, Pennsylvania. So I'm like 5 miles south of there. So I'm working with that agent, trying to find a load out there for Monday if possible. But what I wanted to talk about, so I booked that load, and I told you all about it before. I had to run about 275 miles down there. So I mean, it's New Mexico's and West Texas in general are kind of a tough area. So so I took what I could get to get out of here and get back east, or even if I could find something west, but there wasn't anything going that way, or even northwest. So I found that load. I called the agent. I booked it at that rate. It was like $1.98 a mile. $3,700 on the total, not to the truck, but total revenue to Landstar. And after I booked it, roughly maybe an hour later, I seen another agent post the same load at $4,000. I think it was $212 a mile. So at that point, I was a little bit, frustrated. But I was like, I was gonna call the agent and be like, hey, I just seen the same load post at this rate. And he hadn't sent me a rate confirmation or anything yet, so so I, I said, I saw the load, I agreed to the rate at that price, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm the type of person, if I agreed to a job and agreed to do it for a certain price, and I'm the man of my word, I go ahead and do it, and better luck next time, I guess. Should have looked into that before. But so a couple hours later, I got an email from the agent that I was working with, and rate confirmation on there, and I opened it up, and total revenue on there was $4,200, $225 a mile. So I got on the phone immediately. I called him up and I said, hey, this ain't this isn't what we talked about. It's quite a bit higher. And he's like, yeah, I got you an extra $500 on that. So contrary to popular belief out there now, not all agents are bad, not all brokers are bad, and I didn't ask for that, and that made it actually coming out in southern New Mexico, and even the loads I was looking at El Paso. I mean, $225 a mile on that amount of miles. That's actually a pretty good load coming out here. So I'm really satisfied with that. I just kind of put the numbers together, a good rough estimate on this trip. I'll be back home Saturday morning. I'll be home for Saturday morning. So Saturday, Sunday, I got to leave. I'm only about 5 hours from where I'm delivering this load. I'm delivering Monday morning. So I'll get up early Monday and run it over there, maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning, get over there 7 or 8 o'clock. It's kind of up off of southern tier of New York, I-86, off that beaten path up there, about halfway across Pennsylvania. But so I'm going to drop that off early Monday, But again, I left Friday the 12th. I'll be back home Friday, so that's basically 7.5 days I'm out. Home for a day and a half, run over to Pennsylvania, that's a half-day trip. And I just ran all the numbers on this trip. I mean, to the truck, and I've already taken fuel out, I'm gonna be about $5,200 to the truck. And that's all Landstar's fees, and that's all my fuel. The only thing I haven't subtracted out of that is my truck payment and my truck insurance. But even if I took my $12.49 for my truck and my $135 a month for my insurance, what is that, a little under $1,400, I'm still at $3,800 for basically a week and a half, of which, you know, a day and a half, 2 days, I'm going to be at home. That's, I don't know what other people run their numbers at, but I think that's pretty good money for basically a week and a half, of which 2 days I'll be at home. And kind of looking for something. I'm kind of freewheeling it. I might run back home. I've been wanting to do, like, since it's nicer weather, warmer, I want to do at least a load or two to Alaska this summer, so I got to search up, kind of an endless search up for that. I've seen a lot of them posts, but been kind of the wrong place at the wrong time. I've seen a couple posts out of Buffalo after I was already out west, so if I would have stayed at home another 2 days or something till Monday, then I could have probably grabbed up one of those. So keeping an eye on that. Maybe I can get one of those next week, or we'll head back out to the West Coast again, maybe in midweek, so I'm not going to stay home too long. But so that's pretty much the update at this point as far as this trip and as that Landstar. But gonna get to the Mercer stuff here. We got a 1099, I want to say a W2, but we got a 1099 here on the owner-operator side. Gonna go over that, and then gonna talk to you guys. I've had a lot of comments on that video, and I kind of wanted, like I said, they're not a bad company. I don't have anything against them. I'm not bitter. It's this business. They just do business a little bit different way than I like to, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's different strokes for different folks. I mean, if that works for you, I mean, there's nothing against anybody there. I mean, I'm not trying to, hey, Landstar is better, you need to come over here. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You know, I like where I'm at, the way that my personality and the way I work. It's just you know, a better fit for me. And but anyway, we'll go ahead and show you this, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of the reasons why I left there and why I like it here better. I mean, like I said again, I'm not saying it's all about what your personality is, what you want to make, and all that. But it all comes down to preference. I mean, you can make good money. I mean, you can make good money at Mercer. You can make good money at Landstar. It's just what you're willing to put up with and to go through and all that, and what you want to do. So, but I'll show you this and talk a little bit. Then I'll kind of get into those reasons that I departed there. So. Okay, this is my 1099 from Mercer Transportation. Got my company there, Fox Express, Ravenna, Ohio. I blacked out the tax identification numbers for both of us and my actual street address, so I don't need any serial killers showing up or anything. And I don't want to throw out my tax identification number, and they might get mad if I throw out theirs. But block 7 is the number we're looking at. That's $48,620.65. And that I went back to my settlement statements from Mercer, and I picked up my first load with them September 20th of 2019. So this number is basically for 3 months. So if things would have went as well as they did then, one could assume that that would be 4 times that, so I would be close to 200. I mean, you could probably say 180-ish, 180, 190 would probably be a safe bet for a 12-month period. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that you do have to pay for the trailer there. So, you know, other than all my other expenses, that 3 months, $650 basically. So I'm looking at almost $2,000 could come off the top of that as expenses plus my other expenses. all the expenses that I have at Landstar. And that's at a 75% rate. And kind of running the numbers here at Landstar, even through COVID-19 and taking some time off, I'm basically at about the same amount, revenue as far as gross goes as I was there for the same period. And I'm at 65% here, and I'm not paying $650 a month for a trailer. So that's something to keep in mind. I think almost $50,000 for 3 months gross revenue is pretty respectable, but others may argue. But so that's where I'm at with that. So that's the 1099, and go and switch over here and kind of talk about some of the other reasons I left. Okay, so there's basically 4 main reasons that I left Mercer Transportation. And I think the number one would probably be the coordinator situation there. Here at Landstar, if you're at Landstar, or if you're not, you can actually, with the load board, you can set up any type of, you can search anywhere you want. You can search any amount of states. I mean, 500-mile radius, 100-mile radius, whatever you want. And you can set up email alerts. So as soon as those loads post, you see everything that's going on the board, and you see every load that's posting. And I can hone in to whatever load that I'm looking for, and I get alerts for it in my email, and they're usually pretty quick, and I can call about that load within, if it's a good load, you've got about anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes to call about it. So I'm not sitting there I'm not refreshing my load board to keep looking for new loads posting, because I automatically, for what I'm looking for the minimum rate per mile, for the minimum revenue, for where I'm coming out of to where I want to go, I can hone down exactly to what I want, and I get an alert for that. Even on the email, there's a hyperlink where I can click it, and it sets up right to my phone, and I can click the little green phone button and dial, and it dials the agent's phone number, and if it's available, still available, it's a done deal. On the Mercer side, and I'm not trying to, I'm not doing this comparison thing, I'm just trying to tell you why I left. But over at Mercer, you don't have that ability to do like a search alert type of thing or a load alert type of thing. You're depending on this coordinator that probably has 50 other guys that they're looking out for, some of which are more loyal to the company, that have been there. They could be there 10, 20 years. So who's going to get priority? I mean, and so I don't want somebody else involved in my business. And there was no way, on their load board, there's no way to set up those alerts or anything. So you're stuck to depending on this other person, or sitting there refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, looking for loads, where if you're trying to drive down the road, that's not possible. So there could be great loads posts, and they're already gone. They're on the board and they're gone before you even see them. And I know with these coordinators, I went through 2 different coordinators. The first one, I didn't like the way he did things, so I requested a different one. And but with both of them, when I went through orientation down there in Louisville, I sat down with the first guy and I told him, I said, these are the lanes I like to run. He even had like a little map, and I drew a line, I don't go down here. This is what I like to run, and that's what it is. If I can't, the reason I'm in this business, as taking the risk and doing all the maintenance and all the other BS as an owner operator, is because there's a certain schedule I want to run, and there's certain lanes I want to run, and there's places I don't want to go. And if it doesn't work that way, then I'm not interested in being at a place, and that's a simple fact. So I had told this guy, here's what I want to do, and every time he called me, it's like, oh, I got a load to Florida, I got a load to Georgia, and I told you from day one, I'm not going out of my house. I'm not, if I'm desperate, if I'm in California and there's a good load going to Atlanta and it pays a good rate, then I'll probably take it. But coming out of my house, in northeastern Ohio, I'm not going to take a load to Florida. I'm not going to take a load to Georgia. I told him from day one, when I come out of the house, I want a West Coast, and I want something, 2,000 miles or so when I come out, because I can sit there and wait. It ain't a big deal. So I'm not going to take when I told you day one, like, I don't go to this area, I'm not going to take one out of my house. And so after we had a dispute with a load, and I think I talked about that in the other Mercer video, so I won't get into that. But we kind of had a dispute, and he didn't call me for like a week, and I was like, okay, this guy's going to be a little kid, and you know, whatever. So I called the customer service or contractor services or whatever, and I said, hey, let's try somebody else. I don't just want to quit yet, so let's try somebody else out, give it a chance. And so they gave me another girl. The first guy was a guy, and the second one I got a female. And she called me and did like an introduction thing, and I told her the same speech. I'm like, hey, you know, the reason I do this is because there's certain places I like to run and don't like to run, and this is my strategy, what you know, how I work, and the way that I make the most money. That's what I want to do. And it was the same deal. She called me up, like every time she called me, it was for a load that I told her from day one I'm not going to do, I'm not interested in. And so like every load that I got at Mercer was from me doing my own homework and kept refreshing the board because you can't set up alerts. And every one I got was something, those number, that almost $50,000 in 3 months, 1099, was because I did everything myself. So that was the coordinator aspect. So I just I don't trust somebody else in my business. I like to handle my business myself, and I don't want to depend on somebody else that's looking out for 50 or even more guys. And also, they have relationships with their agents. I think they only have like 90 or 100 agents, where Landstar has over 1,000. And I mean, there was several times where I had called agents, you know, when I was on a load or was asking about a load, and they act like arrogant, like they're not going to talk to a driver, like, oh, who's your coordinator, and transfer me to the coordinator when I'm asking them about their business, you know, on specific customer information, and they transfer me to the coordinator, and they're like, well, we don't know that. That's the agents. And I'm like, okay, so the agents don't want to talk to, you know, the owner operators. So that was pretty frustrating. The second thing there is the trailer situation. You're paying almost $650 a month for a trailer, and if you go over 7,700 miles, I believe it's 3 cents per mile additional on top of that, which I'm typically 10,000 plus. So you'll have a little bit of a charge over that $650. But the thing is, and I've had some comments on this, and the last comment that I replied to, I didn't really think it completely through the whole details, and I may have understated my situation with that. But you have to do inspections there. Landstar is 120-day inspections. Mercer's 6 months. But the thing with Mercer is, they basically have one inspection certified, quote, you know, blessed inspection site per state. So you get out west, and some of the states out there don't even have one. And you might go, I mean, California, I think they have 1 or 2 sites, and California is a big state. I mean, so you might have to run 400 or 500 miles out of the way. Even running east-west coast, you might have to run, if your schedule doesn't mesh up, I mean, you might have to run 200 or 300 miles out of the way to go get this inspection. Or grease, they want you to grease, they have to grease the trailers every 2 months. There's basically 8 grease fittings on a trailer, I think, maybe 10 if you consider the dolly. But I'm not allowed, I can't grease it myself. I have to take it somewhere and wait in line, whatever. But, or they'll put you out of service. They won't even let, like Landstar, when you get put out of service, they basically turn your fuel card off, where you could technically still book loads and keep moving. Where there, you're not, if you try to book a load, it kicks you out. You're not doing anything. You're not booking loads, nothing. So it's a little bit more substantial. So I know I just replied to a comment, and the guys had said, well, they give you plenty of time to get inspection. And I didn't really think about it when I was writing that reply. I mean, you know, because I said, no, it's not their fault. But the fact of the matter is that they have one inspection site per state, and then there's no leeway either way. is, I mean, the inspection, it's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, if you're out here trying to run, it should be convenient to where you could, I mean, within a day, you know, on a trip, on a cross-country trip, I mean, you should be able to work something into your schedule to make it work without having to sit somewhere for a day or run 200 miles out of the way to get 10 grease fittings greased, or to get an annual, inspection done that technically isn't even due for another 6 months. But with that, like I said, I keep talking about that last comment that I replied to, where the gentleman had said they give you plenty of time. If I recall that situation, I did a drop and hook, and I didn't do a lot of drop and hooks at Mercer, but every time I did a drop and hook, the trailer was overdue for inspection, overdue for grease, and everything else. So you have the guys that are running around that don't do nothing, they drop the trailers off and leave it for the next guy. So when I go pick up a trailer, it's a big rush to get it done before I get put out of service. So I basically pick up a trailer, and I got 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks before they put me out of service, where I've already got loads planned, I'm already booked out, and I'm trying to get somewhere. So it ain't like I have 6 months or 3 months or a month even to where I know where I can work this in to my timeline to get this done. I said, I think I only did, in 6 months there, I think I only did 5 or 6, maybe 6 drop and hooks. Every single trailer I picked up was basically out of service because of their requirements. So that was a big frustration. And not only with that situation to where it kind of pushed me over the tipping point with that, I was on the way home for my wife was getting induced with labor to have our second son on Valentine's Day, and I had talked to my coordinator and told her what I was going to do, where I was stopping at, where I was going to get it done. She said that was okay, and so I stopped there. I paid for it out of pocket for a grease and for an inspection because I said I could knock it out at one time. I sent everything to her, and that's when they called me back and said, oh, this inspection's no good, we're not paying for it, and by the way, you get to get it redone again. So I get to waste my time and go somewhere else. So and that was kind of what frustrated me, and one of the reasons I left, because it just seemed childish and petty. And like I said, if the TA up at Lodi can do it, why can't another TA service center? They're all trained at the same standards, so it is what it is. And I mean, that's their policy, then I'm not interested. So it's simple as that. But so that was the trailer. Okay, we went over the coordinators, trailer, and the next thing was their dispatch policy. First in, first out. So you got a bunch of guys running around that know where all the loads are, or the coordinators set them up. So they'll go somewhere like Vegas, and they'll sit there for 3 or 4 days. They've got their empty time built up. So you pull in, you're looking to grab a load and get back home, and all the loads, they've already passed on 20 loads that have been offered to them. But you know, you see a load you want that gets you back right to your house, and since you just got there, you click on it and they call you and say, oh, you didn't get the load because this guy's been sitting here for 4 days. And they say that's fair. That's the fairest load board in the industry. You know what? I'm a business owner. I work hard for what I do. I pound the pavement. I'm on the load board. You know, I care about my business. I'm not dependent on somebody else to run my business for me. So I like the way, you know, Landstar, you know, I had somebody else say, oh, there's a whole lot of hand holding at Landstar, and I don't know what that pertains to, because this is one of the places that doesn't hold your hand. I mean, you can talk to some of one of my friends that I've been talking to, a new guy that came to Landstar, and he's been out, you know, I've been pretty much his single point of contact. So there's really no hand holding here, and you know, nobody's going to call you to book a load with you or anything else. And there's no first in, first out. It's whoever calls, whoever's watching the board, whoever has the right search alert set up, whoever calls about the load first when it's available is the one who gets the load. And that's how it should be, because like I said, this is a business. So I mean, if you care about your business, then you should be on the board looking at it and know what you're going to do, what hours you have, and not dependent on somebody else. So I think that's the more fair way to do it, as the people that care about their business and actually put their time in should be the ones that get the good load, other than somebody that wants to sit somewhere for a week waiting for a load to, you know, to snipe whatever they want because they've been sitting there for however long. Like I said, I don't sit. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and you're losing revenue. So That's that. And the last thing that was along with the trailer thing was the final tipping point. They came out, I believe, in February and said for March 1st maintenance reports, they want all the drivers to measure brake stroke, brake rod length, on your brakes, off your slack adjusters. They want you to measure that, and a couple other things. So basically, an annual inspection, for the most part. Tire tread depth, all the stuff that's on all those measurements. They want you to measure those, sign it, and send it in. So what that tells me is that if you get into a wreck or an accident of any kind, they're going to come back and say, well, he measured these brake stroke lengths, he measured these tires, he did this, so he signed it, so it's all his fault. And so that really kind of set me off and said, okay, they're looking for a way to pass the buck onto the operator, the owner operator, and pass liability to somebody else, and that's unacceptable. That's unheard of, because a lot of people aren't qualified to do that themselves, so they don't know what that even means, and so basically you put these people in a position where, okay, even myself, even in knowing how to do that and knowing what to measure and being capable of signing that off, I'm still not going to do it for the liability. But you're putting other people in a position to where they're basically going to have to take their truck to a shop every month and pay to get those measurements done and have for somebody else to sign those off so they can pass the buck off on somebody else. And that's just, unacceptable in my mind. Okay, just go to 120-day inspections or 90-day inspections if you want, but you're going to have somebody every single month on their maintenance report measure their brake stride length and their tread depth and all that, and then sign it, and they take responsibility for that every single month. That's just that's crossing the line, in my opinion. If and like me, I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't take that responsibility. I can do it, and I'm confident of that, but I'm not going to sign that and take responsibility for it. Where they can, when they go to court, they're going to say, well, he signed this, it's good to go, he signed it, and put it back on us. And I'm not going to pay out of my pocket, $50 to go get whatever they charge to get basically an annual inspection every month done at a TA Petru or wherever you go. That's just, it's unreasonable, I think. And it just adds that much more. Another thing on the list we're trying to run out here, something else you got to do every month. So that's my I know that was a lot, and like I said, it's just business. If you like it there, that's fine. It doesn't. It just, every load that it was just it just seemed to be a hassle. Every load that I got, a lot of loads. I like to do longer stuff. And it was, they got the big money loads and all that, and like I would try to go after those because I do long haul. That's all I do. That's my bread and butter. And I'd go after those loads, and they're like, oh, well, those, they act like those are reserved for somebody else. Like, oh, and then I'd get 2 or 3 in a row, and I'm like, oh, one guy said the first coordinator had was like, oh, we got to spread it around a little bit and let other people get that. Like, what is this? I'm a capitalist, I work hard for my money, and if it's available, it's there, I want it. And so it is what it is. So that's my take on that, and kind of a part 2 and why I left. Yeah, I made good money there, but I don't like hassles, and I don't like fighting tooth and nail for every load. I don't like having to worry about taking a trailer in every 2 months, or I'm going to get cut off, and all this other nonsense. So it's a lot more relaxed here. I feel like at Landstar, I have a lot more control of my business and what I do, and I don't have to worry about something every month. Like our maintenance reports here, we don't do them monthly. We do them at the same time as our 120 inspections. So I basically print out, a blank, maintenance report, and I fill stuff in, handwritten as I'm doing it over the 3 months. And it's not something I got to worry about every single month. Plus, signing off on basically an annual inspection every month and taking liability for it. So that's just my 2 cents. Nothing nothing personal, nothing against anybody. I know there's a lot of diehard Mercer guys. If you like it there, that's fine. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I mean, it's not a bad company. I know some people that are kind of looking to get into the business. I've actually recommended Mercer for them for starting out, because you do get a little bit more help there with the coordinators and all that. So it might be a good place to learn the lanes and get into the business with somebody else helping you out, holding your hand, basically. But over here, you're kind of on your own, and I like it that way, and it fits my personality better. But I'm going to close with that instead of rambling on here. Like I said, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and we appreciate the support, comments, and all that. And like I said, our information's on the About page. I don't have you send me your information. It might take me a couple days to get back to you and all that out on the road. But if you need to talk, we'll talk. Send me your information and we'll get together. So again, thanks for the support. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.